Alright, so to talk about the club, first we have the president of Sanggar Kirana. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Ida Maisara binti Muhammad Sadali. I am now in my final year second semester pursuing electrical and electronics engineering, and now I am the president of Sanggar Kirana.
Alright, so we all know that Sanggar Kirana is a gamelan group. So what actually is gamelan?
Gamelan originates from a Japanese word which is gamel. The meaning of it is to handle, or in Malay we call it pukul. And gamelan is traditional instruments that consist of instruments such as we have sarung baron, sarung demong, sarung peking, and we have bonang, bonang penerus, bonang baron, and also gong, kenong, and such.
So quite a variety of instruments in this gamelan group. So speaking of that, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, how does the name Sanggar Kirana come about? Does it perhaps have some kind of special meaning?
Sanggar means a house or a place, and Kirana originates from Indonesian, I think. It means, it has like a poetic meaning as rays of light, and so I thought that Sanggar Kirana, we can interpret it as a place where we gather and play play something beautiful, and we can do like artistic activities such as dance, music, and produce something that shines.
So quite a thoughtful name, I think. Okay, so now that we've gotten to know what is gamelan and the club name, what does the club actually do?
So other than we have weekly trainings, we also have activities such as CSR. We do a CSR program where we go to schools such as MRS and SAS, and then we teach the kids how to play gamelan, especially the traditional songs.
Wow. Besides all these activities, do you guys perhaps have any performances or achievements that you guys have gained over the years?
Actually, there's quite a few, but the most prestigious one is we have last year we have a concert. We have like a big concert between 3 clubs in UTP. We have Sanggar Kirana, we have UPAC, and also Petra, where we did a 1-hour concert at Dewan Philharmonic Petronas, KLCC.
Well, okay, that sounds like quite a grand performance, let's say. Well, thank you for joining us in this interview, Ira. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and the club. And next, let's get to know some of its members and performers. Alright, so first let's get to know one of the sarung baron performers for Sanggar Kirana. Please introduce yourself.
Alright, so hello, my name is Koyum. I'm currently in my final year. I've been playing sarung baron in Sanggar Kirana for almost 5 years.
Wow, so quite experienced.
Quite experienced, yeah, I guess, yeah.
Well, okay, the sarung baron seems like quite an interesting instrument. So I'm wondering, how do you actually play it, or how does it produce its sound?
So sarung baron, actually it's, there's 3 types of sarung family, but basically sarung baron consists of is an ideophone that consists of bronze bars that is placed on top of a resonating frame. So it is produced sound by hitting the bar by using a mallet, a wooden mallet, yeah.
Alright, so you mentioned that you've been playing it for 5 years. I would say you're quite experienced. So does the sarung baron require much technical skill to play?
It requires one main technical skills for the player, which is damping, in which the main hand will play the mallet, the other hand will damp the previous note. So it eliminates the oscillation of the sound.
So it requires some coordination between both hands? Okay, that's quite interesting to know. So what is the role of the sarung baron inside an ensemble actually?
So in the ensemble of gamelan, for traditional Malay gamelan, sarung baron is used to play the main melody within its melodic limitations. So, however, in contemporary gamelan, it's up to the composer on how sarang barong will play. So for us, Sanggar Kirana, sarang barong also plays the main melody of the songs.
So I would say quite important role.
Yes,
inside the
it is quite
ensemble.
an important role.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us in this interview, Kayun. Next, let's interview a player for the bonang. Alright, so joining me here is a performer for the bonang instrument. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, so my name is Muhammad Fahan Ramli. I'm one of the management of Sanggar Kirana. I'm the youngest one there. And I'm from second year, second semester mechanical engineering. And yes, my forte is bonang.
Wow.
Specifically, is bonang penerus lah.
So you're quite pro at the instruments?
I'm not saying that I'm pro, but I'm
It's your
good
best
at it.
instrument.
My best instrument.
Okay, so I noticed there are quite a few different types of bonang. is
Yeah.
it? And so how these bonangs differ from each other?
Alright, in UTP we got two types of bonang, which we call bonang penerus, which I play, and another one is bonang baron. What's the difference between these two instruments is bonang penerus has higher octave, so it's produce higher pitch sounds lah, rather than the bonang baron. Bonang baron is more deep sound, bass sound.
Oh, okay. So I also noticed that compared to our previous instrument, the sarang baron uses something more like a mallet or a hammer. The bonang uses something like a stick. So is there any reason for this difference in instrument?
Okay, so the difference is that sarang baron they use mallet looks like a hammer, wooden hammer, but for bonang penerus we use just a stick wrapped with clothes in there, because ours is like a bowl of metal. It's just copper. We call it besi penerus, and then when we stick it, the objective is when we hit it, it produces a melodious sound. It's like we call it bulat. The sounds is
Like
bulat. Why we wrap with clothes? Because we want a soft sound. If we just use stick, then maybe it's like harsh sound, something like that.
Okay, so what is its role actually inside the ensemble?
Okay, so the lead usually in gamelan Melayu traditional, there are two instruments they're gonna lead the team.
Oh, okay.
First is gambang, the wooden,
Oh, okay.
and then the next one is bonang. But usually in gamelan Melayu traditional, the gambang will lead the team. But in contemporary, I'll say kesi. You know kesi?
Not
The
sure.
The small one, like
Oh, okay.
kesi will lead the team because it keep the tempo and all that.
So quite a wide range of roles, I say, in the ensemble.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Thank you for joining us in this interview, Farhan.
Thank you for having me.
Well, next, let's get to know another instrument, the gendang. Alright, so joining me here is a performer for the gendang instrument. Please introduce yourself.
So my name is Muhammad Zarif Zifri. You can call me Zarif. Currently final year first student taking civil engineering, and I've been involving in Sanggar Kirana since late 2019.
Alright, so let's get to know the instrument a bit more. Actually, I'm also a part of the Chinese orchestra, and as far as I know, some of the percussion instruments in the Chinese orchestra use buffalo skin for their drums. So I'm wondering, is that the same for the gendang?
It is a bit different because our gendang have two sides. One is a bit smaller, and then another one is a bit larger. So in the smaller side, we use a soft goat skin. Meanwhile, the larger side, which produce a lower pitch, we use a buffalo skin, same as like Chinese orchestra.
Okay. So some similarities here and there. Yeah, as you mentioned just now, the gendang is played from both sides. So will that require perhaps more technique, or is it harder to play?
Yeah, a bit. To produce a perfect sound of lower pitch, we required a bit of technique to be learned, and it's some sort to take a longer time to master it. So there is no specific reason, but just to produce a varieties of sound in our ensemble.
Okay, so you mentioned that the gendang can produce quite a variety of sound. What is its role actually in the ensemble?
Mainly gendang controls the tempo of the sound. So it is the same in traditional or contemporary song, gendang mainly control the tempo of the
Like a metronome.
yeah, some sort of like a metronome. But in mainly based on our composer, some of our song we have our own solo for gendang. So
okay.
that's make gendang a bit of show off in
wow.
in that song.
Well, okay, that's quite a few interesting facts on the gendang. Thank you for joining us in this interview. And next, let's get to know the performer for the gambang. Alright, so joining me here is a performer for the gambang instrument. Please introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, I'm Afif. Currently in my final semester in mechanical engineering, and I have played gambang in Sanggar Kirana for almost 4 years now.
Quite long, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm wondering what is unique about the gambang actually?
Okay, as you can see, other than instruments, all of made of brass, gambang is made up of wood.
Yeah.
But actually, gambang is one of the family of the sarons.
So still the same.
Yeah. So as you can see, it's similar to modern instruments like xylophones and marimbas,
True.
and it uses quite similar mallets to xylophones and marimba, except that it's a bit thinner.
Okay. Well, so you mentioned that it's made out of wood. Is there any specific reason for it? Perhaps more better sound? Or?
There's no actually specific reasons why it's made up of wood, but it actually produces like a bass sound since the echoes of the wood actually produce some bass sounds, and it's actually quite prominent in traditional settings in gamelan ensemble.
Okay, so you mentioned the prominence inside traditional ensemble. So so I'm wondering what is its role actually inside the ensemble?
Okay, so gambang usually opens a traditional song, like normal, typical traditional song that everybody has heard of, like Lambang Sari, Pramanggo. Those are songs that usually when the song starts, it will start with gambang, and then the whole team or the whole ensemble will join together. So it's usually either gambang or bonang who would start the song, but most of the time it will be gambang who would initiate. And gambang is usually, the gambang player would usually be the leader of the group itself.
I can see why you mentioned it's quite prominent.
Yeah.
What about in contemporary?
Okay, so in contemporary, gambang usually joins the melody, or it either joins the melody or harmonizes the melody itself.
Okay. It can harmonize also, I
Yeah.
see. Okay. Well, that's quite interesting to know. Thank you for joining us in this interview, Afif. And with that, we conclude our interview with Sanggar Kirana. Thank you to all the wonderful members of Sanggar Kirana that have joined us in this interview.
Thank you.